everyone, and welcome to another episode of What the Hut here at the Artistic and Creative Hub. That is East Beach Studios here in sunny Worthing, and it's beautifully sunny here today, which is wonderful. My name is Tabitha Wady, and I am a big-hearted and socially minded property investor here on the South Coast. And as you know, I absolutely love my hometown of Worthing here in West Sussex, and so do these fantastic and formidable women that I have the pleasure of joining me here today. We have joining us again Beth Doll, who is East Beach Studios Curator, an all-round fabulous human being. She is joining me again as co-host. Thank you for joining me, Beth.
Pleasure, absolutely pleasure.
And we are stoked to be joined by Sophie Cox, leader of Worthing Council and Labour councillor for Castle Ward here in Worthing.
Yeah, that's right.
And also to our Madam Mayor Cathy Glynn-Davies. She's got the hat and everything. Just fabulous.
Wonderful.
Madam Mayor of Worthing and Borough Councillor for Broadwater.
Right.
Ladies, thank you so much.
Good afternoon.
Hello and welcome to What the Hut.
Thanks for having us.
We welcome you both. Thank you for coming. So if we start off today, not interrogation, a very friendly, formal discussion. And we'd like to talk to you, get a little bit of background actually, I think would be good. So we were wondering if you could share with our listeners what each of your current roles are. I know Tabs has just given us a basic, but perhaps something about how you came to be in your current roles. So Sophie, if we start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for having me. So yeah, I was elected to Worthing Borough Council in 2023 to represent Castle Ward, which is the area where I live. And yeah, it's been quite a busy year. I was deputy leader last year, a few days before the election, and then as our former leader went to Parliament, I took over as the leader. So yes, had quite a quick route into being the leader of the council. It's been a very busy year, to say the least. But, yeah,
I'm sure it has.
my background, but yeah, absolutely love Worthing. I've grown up in Worthing and bringing up my 3 children here as well. So really invested in the town. I want to see it do amazing things.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really kind of surprised to find myself in this position. It wasn't something that I ever planned when I set out in politics. It was a job I felt I could do well because I had quite a diverse and interesting background and career. I've also got 4 children who've grown up in this town, and they are now in business in this town. And I have 5 grandchildren, stroke 8, because my daughter has a new partner who also has children. So yeah, it's ever expanding, which is lovely. But I just feel that I've got a stake in this town, and I wanted to make things as good as they could be. So that's the reason I went into politics, and I was elected in 2021 for Broadwater, which I lived in Broadwater for 30 years. And after that, took various roles amongst our Labour group, including sheriff licensing at one time, and then the opportunity arose for me to be selected for mayor, and so I took it because I felt that it was a community role. It was a role in which I could visit people within the community, and perhaps a big passion of mine is promoting community cohesiveness, and our community is quite diverse, and it's lovely to bring people together, and also to find out what people are actually doing, which why we're here today. Thank you.
Cathy, what does a typical day as Madam Mayor look like for you?
Well, I get one briefing on a Monday from Democratic Services, and they will bring me up to date with any invitations that I've had, and they will, if I'm able to accept them, I do, and they go on a calendar. And then generally that week and the following week I have a presence at those events. And some of the events are really broad-ranging. I mean, one really big event was the taxi drivers veterans lunch. So the London taxi drivers bring veterans down from London and they all eat at the pavilion, and there's a cabaret.
So all the taxis lined up, it's wonderful.
It was such fun. It was such fun. I ended up dancing with Chelsea pensioner. Yes, but that week was a very heavy week, so you know there was a lot of other events as well, and you know small events such as visiting a lady who invited me to come visit her in a care home because they were having a coffee morning, and that was a really lovely event because I felt so appreciated. I did at the veterans one too, but it was like I was a visiting celebrity, and I've never felt like that. I've never felt that I either wanted to be a celebrity or but people view you and say you have celebrity status, and they want their photos taken with you, they want you to wear your hats, it can be a very heavy calendar. Today I've also got pre-theatre drinks in the Merrill Parlour later on with a couple that I know who do a lot in our community, and I'm going to the theatre afterwards. So I will be having drinks and canapes with them later on this thing. And then I've got 3 events tomorrow, and someday I've managed to get a day off because I have family visitors.
Well deserved.
But every weekend is very heavy with events. There's a lot going on this summer in Worthing.
What I really love about you, Cathy, is that I see you in the community a lot. I see you walking your dog in Beach Park.
Yeah.
I see there was a fantastic event on by, you know, the Effie's, the restaurant from Spun Records.
That's right.
The band, the
And
song.
that was it.
It was a
Having a
brilliant,
little dance.
yeah, and good for you.
Fantastic.
And I think that's lovely to see you in our community, and so many people know you, and yeah, you're very.
Thank you.
Of course, you've
Thank
been
you.
very supportive of his speech as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, which has been wonderful for us, so thank you for that.
And Sophie, can I ask you the same question, please? What does a typical day or week look like for you as leader of council?
Oh, it is pretty hectic, to be honest, and yeah, having a young family as well to try and juggle in the middle of it, it's a lot. But yeah, it's really what I love about it the most is it's really diverse. So you're kind of doing. One minute I can be sort of leading, if you think about a Monday, I'll be with our cabinet and we'll be reviewing kind of papers that we've got, decisions that we've got coming up. Lots of meetings, so it might be in the town hall, this will be out and about representing different organisations. So this week I was at a transport for the South East meeting where I'm on the board of that, and representing Worthing, and there it can be catching up with casework, so things that are happening in the town and things that are happening in my area where residents might need our help. So at the moment we're looking at Palatine School and trying to work with a group of parents there, helping them with their application to the County Council for some improvements to the road safety outside. And lots of reorganisation discussions going on with devolution at the moment, so we've got a lot going on there as well. But it is a challenging role, but it is one where we're steering the direction, so you have a lot of meetings with the officers, and they're the ones who are kind of doing the work, and we're really just steering it along. They might be asking for a decision or kind of a bit of a steer to make sure they're doing things in the way that our administration supports. So it can be really difficult. We can be, from any day from the next, we could be thinking about issues with our coastal safety, thinking about the water. We can be having issues about we've had this year the Grafton closing quite suddenly, the pier closing just a few weeks after I took over as leader for the first time in about 30 years. I think the first time ever it's been closed that long, isn't it? So it can always, something can just pop up and completely change the direction of your week quite quickly when these sorts of things happen. So it's always being ready for all the challenges that come with having so many different services, really, isn't it? It's the diversity of it, I think, with councils. Some people see their councils, their council tax, their bins, but actually there's so much good work that goes on behind the scenes. And I think that's it, is that we see how hard the officers are working and to try with very little money to do things. The budgets are very small, so it's very difficult to try, but there's some real ambition and aspiration to do things differently, and I think our officers are great, so we've been very lucky.
And a real love of the town as well, which is great.
And so many are like us, aren't they, that they've got children and they live in the town. There's particular officers who we share memories of going to, like Peter Pan's playground that everyone talks about, and it's like, I was that child who was at Peter Pan's playground, and it's like when we get into these roles, only ever to make things better.
Yeah.
And yes, we can't always go as fast as we want to go, and it is frustrating. I think that's one of the biggest challenges for us, is that I think when you come in as a councillor, you think you can do, and I look back and think of all things that I thought I could do, and you can change quite quickly. You have to kind of realise the priorities, and you have to sort of work your way down, don't you?
Well, you do, yeah. And I think this is a time of great change, and I think locally and nationally we're seeing a lot of change. After, so politically, I don't have to go through all of that, but we have a Labour government for the first time in a long time, and it's kind of difficult for them picking up the reins and trying to kind of make sense of what has been going on for 15 years, isn't it, that we've had the opposition really. So it's, but we are also trying to work with them productively and constructively. Well, not me. I'm in an apolitical role now, so that's an interesting thing which people often don't realise. They think I'm representing the Labour group, and I'm not. And I have a very good relationship with councillors from the opposition groups as well. And I get to chair the full council meeting, which involves all our councillors coming together. We have lots and lots of committees, but the full council meeting means an invitation is sent to every single councillor on Worthing Borough Council, and we all convene, and then I'm in the chair for that meeting. So I have to demonstrate an apolitical attitude, because we have to be entirely fair to everybody, make sure that and appreciate what councillors of all backgrounds bring to the table, which is something quite different, but nevertheless very valuable. So that's my aim. But I do think Worthing is changing, and Sophie is about the same age as some of my children, and so they now, I feel, are the future of this town.
Yes.
And it's time in one sense for people of my generation to acknowledge that and allow them. They've got the youth, the energy, and they've got the knowledge of the world as it is rather than as it was, and so it's great that we've got a young leader like Sophie. I think it really makes a difference.
Yes.
She's also got energy, tons of energy.
You need it in both
Not
your
all the
roles. Both your roles you need it.
Yeah.
Thank you. So historically, both your roles have been predominantly male. So we were interested to know, as a group of females, what are the challenges, if indeed there are any, I imagine there are, of being a woman in the role that you're in, and also the benefits of being a woman in the role that you're in?
I think for me as well, it's about being young. I mean, obviously Becky Cooper was the first female leader. I'm not entirely sure that that's correct, but I think she was the first female. I've tried to look back in the history books, but I think she was the first female leader. But she certainly was the only one in West Sussex. So out of the district of boroughs in West Sussex, she is the only female, and that's continued with myself as well. So when I've been in a lot of our legal organisation devolution discussions, you are the only woman leader in West Sussex. So, I think it is a challenge. I think it brings a different perspective. And that's what I feel is really important, because I actually was a council officer 10 years ago before I had my children up in Horsham. And up there it was very male heavy with councillors. I remember looking at the demographic, the age I think that really struck me the most was how old the councillors were and the decisions that they were making. I used to think there needed to be that balance and that representation, because actually how do you get the issues that we're facing as younger mums and as all of society needs to have kind of that voice in there. So for me, that was what was most important about standing for councillor, was making sure that we hear and we have different representation. I mean, it's not an easy role. It is difficult being a councillor, and we find that with our group, because we are a lot of a younger there are lots of younger people coming forward now to be councillors, but that does mean a balance with work, if they've got work responsibilities, caring, family responsibilities. And it's a challenge. Like, there are nights when my children get very upset, but I have to go out to meetings, I miss bedtime, and you have to try and juggle making sure that you're there for them as well as being there and being able to be in the committee. So I think the challenges are, I think, just having all those sort of caring responsibilities. Luckily I've got a husband who's pretty good at balancing it with me, so we do take our fair share. And what I've really enjoyed is, because I actually had quite a big chunk of time off of work when mine was small, is that he's actually getting that chance now, because I was sort of the primary carer. He now gets that time with them as well, so I do feel it's a much more even balance now. But I think for the perception that I think someone said recently there used to be businessmen running the council, and I thought actually there are lots of businessmen still in our council working for the council, but actually we're the ones who are steering it, we're taking those decisions. And I think sometimes the perception is that we're the ones doing the work as well, and it's like actually we've got lots of really talented officers who are doing that job. They're there, they've got their experience, they've got the background, yet we're here bringing the ideas, the energy and the steering of it really, isn't it? It's all about the vision, which is I think
Just having that balance, isn't it, which is essential. Yeah. That's great.
I think as mayor, everything that I use, which is provided on a mayoral basis, is designed for men. I sat in the big chair, Sophie, the big mayoral chair in the chamber, and I was like perched on the edge. I felt it's just far too big for me. Perched on the edge, trying to reach the papers that I had laid out before me. And it wasn't until about, I don't know, half an hour in that I managed to like shift it, some big heavy chair, shift it up close enough so that I could comfortably look at the papers. The hat is too big. The robes are huge, and you've got to be so careful you don't trip on them. It's the same in the mayoral parlour. And what Sophie was saying about the business community running this town in the past, I feel that there's a lot of truth in that. When you go into the mayoral parlour, when the windows have been closed and the doors have been closed and been locked up for a little while, you can almost still smell the cigars, you know. Even though it's been cleaned up 2 times, but it's kind of ingrained into the walls and the carpet. It's quite a nice smell actually, because I'm from a generation where everyone smokes. But it is fun, and I've got a cupboard with optics in it, and I'm going to leave a note in there when I leave with I drank it or something like that, because I just feel there's a challenge there, which is why I'm sort of thinking about trying to invite people who are just because they would like to come, but also people who want to use the sort of town nightlife, to come on a Friday evening for early evening drinks. I may do that on regularly on a Friday night. And if you get a group together and you fancy that, and a donation will go to my mayoral charities. So you come along if you'd like to.
It's using those old kind of facilities, like the respect because there's so much history in the building. And so when you walk in there and you think this is 100, like how many hundreds? I think it's about 100 years old almost, isn't it, the building? And you can see some of we've got little ashtrays where we sit in the council chamber from where they obviously used to do smoke while they were old, and it's very old, like you see the little marks of the history around the building.
Everyone's got their own little drawer where obviously they used to keep their papers and
I've always thought it would be a wonderful film set, the building.
It's used often as film set.
It's just wonderful.
It was used in a recent film, I can't remember the name of it now, where they use it as like a courtroom, because it does feel very much like that.
They used to have, they've still got rooms down in the basement. We went and had a look, didn't we, recently, because they store a few treasures down there now, but also lots of old documents and things like that. But they used to have holding cells in the basement, which I didn't know about until recently. And because before the courthouse was built next door, which also has holding cells for people who are coming to trials, so they used to hold them in the town hall, apparently. I'll send you to the tower.
Yes. You can still hear those cells. I mean, it doesn't show you the history of what it is. And there's a little stairway, isn't there? Where they used to come visit.
Can they visit and look round?
Yes, they can. They do tours from time to time, and that's another thing I could order into. And we've got one coming up. Bob Smitherman's organised that one. But before my mayoral year is up, I might try and put together one specifically for mayoral charities. Our facilities manager Ray is absolute mine of information. He knows everything, and so he would have to be involved. Because
forgive me, and a great wedding venue.
It's a good, we have weddings.
Quite regularly there are weddings held. I think so. It's got a lovely outlet over the front with the pillars and everything. There's some really lovely photos.
So
it is used to weddings. Quite often we don't have
the galleries and stairs as well are lovely.
Obviously, Worthing is due for some significant changes in the coming few years as a result of Worthing Council's devolution. Can you give an overview of what devolution means, and B, what will the impact on our lovely town be?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take that on there. I think there is a lot of changes going on. I think that's one of the things over the last year, and it does take up a lot of time at the moment, really giving a lot of thought and time to the reorganisation. So there's two processes going on at the same time. We've got devolution, which is happening, and Sussex has been chosen to be on the government's devolution priority programme, which means that we're going to get a mayor of Sussex. So think of Andy Burnham and what they're doing up in Manchester. So it's that type of mayor, not this civic kind of mayor, but actually a mayor with considerable amount of powers. So they kind of unlock the powers as they go. So we won't kind of get an Andy Burnham mayor straight away that has that level of responsibility. But it does mean that mayor will be sitting around the table with government, with Sussex's with its priorities and with the outcomes that they want to see for Sussex in mind. So that mayor will be able to get powers from government and start to get those kind of budgets, and you can start to think about the strategic kind of decisions that they make in government at the moment, but the mayor can make them on behalf of Sussex. So the intention is to devolve some of those powers away from central government, and then the mayor has that responsibility. And at the same time, we've got local government reorganisation, which means that the government is wanting to abolish all of our districts, boroughs and counties, because we are one of the only areas in the South East that still has the two-tier system. So a lot of the areas across the country have a unitary council, like Brighton and Hove City Council, that's the nearest one we have here, where they have the responsibility for education as well as housing, planning and all of the services, whereas in Worthing we've still got the Borough Council, and then we've got West Sussex County Council that sit as the upper tier, so you have a split of responsibilities. So what the intention is to abolish those councils and bring together new councils that will sit underneath the mayor, and underneath the new region it will be a mayoral regional authority that he or she will lead. So at the moment we're looking at footprints and how these different councils will work together. And I think one of the things where people ask me why we're doing this, and I think why do we want to do this when we're abolishing our own councils, and I think it's all about trying to build better local government, more responsive local government, and also having sustainable services for the future. Because in Worthing we do have a real issue with our housing needs, and housing is, when we look at our budgets for the year, we don't have a lot left when you look at the numbers of people that we're representing as homeless, how many we're having to house in temporary accommodation, and we need to be able to work differently. We need to start, we know that we need to work better on prevention and making sure that people are getting the help they need before they get to that point, and actually bringing together things like health, education, housing, all of those services working together. I see real benefit and opportunity for us to do things better and to serve the residents better, because I think one of the biggest challenges for us is probably when we have asked how we can solve the potholes, and we have to keep explaining that it's often on the doorsteps, it's the top number one thing is we've got potholes that need solving, and there's a huge frustration when we have to explain that that's not our council and you're just shirking that responsibility to somebody else. But actually, when you start to bring those services all together, that's the aim. So that's what's going to happen. And we're working with other councils across West Sussex on a plan for government in September this year, where we put forward our submission about what those new footprints will look like. So there's a big engagement exercise going on across the county at the moment, getting views from the public and from businesses, from health and from other stakeholders to see what it is, which footprint would work best for their organisations and what people feel would benefit them as residents as well. So that's what the intention is, and then we will have the mayoral election next year, and then 2027 will be the sort of vesting, will be the day for the new councils to start coming live.
So just to clarify from what you said, so there'll be a mayor, and then there'll be a different representative from each of the council services who will serve under that mayor.
That's right.
And they as a unit will be responsible for all the different areas. Will the mayor make the final decisions about things, or will the kind of heads of departments? How will it work in terms of decision?
So you'll still have two levels of council. So you're going to have the councils in the unitary council, so whatever that looks like for us in Worthing. And then you're going to have the mayor who leads a regional mayoral combined authority. So that's a regional. They will have the powers of the mayor that sits at that level. Okay. So this will be for strategic sort of housing. It could be the powers from the Police and Crime Commissioner as well that get put into that. All of those things are to be decided yet. And then the ambition is that you'll have the leaders of the unitary council sitting at that unitary authority as kind of like a cabinet of the mayor.
Right.
So they will have there'll be lots of sort of checks and balances in place as to what the mayor's powers are. But yeah, so it'll be very much they'll be in a strategic, and then you've got working very closely with the leaders of the unitaries underneath. So you'll still have your local councillors in those unitaries.
Right.
But then you've sort of got the mayor working on the big strategic issues.
Okay. So as that develops, as it goes along, because obviously there's quite a short window, isn't there? We're looking at a couple of years.
Yeah.
So if the general public, people want to know more about devolution, where could they access that information, or how could they keep abreast of what's happening and the changes that are happening?
Yeah, well, until the 13th of August, we've got a consultation. It's more of an engagement survey, really, that's being run by the West Sussex authorities and the West Sussex Council. So they can find out more about that on Aidan Worthing's council website, and there's papers and surveys, I think, in the libraries as well. So you can give your views and look at the different sort of options that are being put forward for Worthing at the moment. But yeah, I mean, keep in touch with us through the council, really. We're going to try and see how much we can spread around, and yeah, speak to the local councillors. Hopefully, I think, as you say, it's one of those topics that devolution, local government reorganisation sounds really boring, but it does affect a lot of what people's every day. So
absolutely.
It's how we really spread that message and get people interested. Really,
I think people don't really understand the wider concept as well. So
and I think it's trying to get different people engaged. Like we've been running some purposeful citizen panels with young people as well, because actually these topics don't tend to stir up sort of interest with everyone, but actually if you start to speak to people and make sure their voices are included, that's what we're going to be really working on over the next couple of years, really, is trying new ways to get people engaged. But yeah, always open for people who want to suggest ideas of how we do that, and things like this are brilliant because it means that we can speak to different audiences.
Great.
Well, you're very welcome here anytime. Can I ask you, on a professional and on a personal level, what do you really love about Worthing?
Well, I said in my mayoral speech when I was made mayor, that's what they call it, a mayor making, that I've never got over being a London child and growing up in a very sort of congested area. I was from Islington and Camden, lived in both boroughs at one time, and it was great fun. There was an awful lot going on in those places as I was growing up, but I always loved visiting the sea and being in the countryside too. I used to go to Barnet, which was our nearest sort of green pocket, and go riding at that time, because I'd save up and have a riding lesson. And to have all that on your doorstep here is I haven't got over it. I just think it's amazing. And I've actually talked to my children about this and said, how do you feel? Would you have liked to have stayed in London? And, we really appreciate the fact that we had that freedom and those facilities growing up. We spent lots of lovely summers on the beach and on the downs. And I think now, in the town itself, I'm appreciating sort of the art scene, and that's one of the reasons it's fantastic to be here today. East Beach never looked like this in the past. Hello. Yeah, East Beach didn't look like this 36 years ago when I first moved to Worthing. It was quite different, and to see this kind of scene developing is just fantastic. And another area that's developing fast and coming along now is Rowlands Road, so Worthing's West End, where there's so many lovely bars, cafes, like the vintage offer in Worthing is tremendous. And our demographic here in Worthing is still, we kind of thought the results of the census were going to reveal that we had a younger demographic in Worthing, but that actually is not the case.
Is that not the case?
No, well, not in 2011. Was it 2011 the last one was? I think it was. So it would have been 2021. So in 2011 it was like majority older people, and I think it's still the case because people like me are getting older. So we have an older demographic, but I think they're a different older demographic, perhaps morphed from the business community who used to come here to retire to people who have moved from places like London and Brighton, perhaps Horsham, and moved down here because they enjoy the the opportunities for the sea and the countryside. So yeah, my children are in business here, and hospitality is huge. There's just so wonderful cafes and bars, and we've got wonderful independent cinema, which I use all the time. I love it. And great theatre. We've got the theatre, we've got the museum and art gallery. You know, so we are not without a sort of cultural offer, and some really nice buildings like the town hall and the museum and art gallery, St Paul's, and some great shops, great independent shops. I think our high streets are suffering, just like every other high street in the country. But I think the fact that we've got so many clever independents like springing up with a tremendous offer for visitors and for people who live here, I think that's a great thing. Yeah, no, Worthing's got so much to offer, and it's heaving, isn't it now? Weekends, it's great.
And a lot of independent and creative artists, media people, business people who love this town, who just want the very best for it, and I feel like we're all kind of seedlings and we're all moving through, and
it's a period of great change.
There's a great community feel in Worthing. I think that essentially people with those backgrounds none of them are independent, they're all kind of meshing and connected, and people know each other and get to know new people, and I think that's so essential to the kind of wider community in terms of giving back and what we can offer, which is quite unusual, I think, in terms of Brighton's much more transient perhaps, whereas here people like to get involved and really put themselves in amongst it.
And I know so many people who are so proud to live in this town. Do you know what I mean, Bev? It's just like, I love it here.
It is lovely, it feels like a real gift.
I think it feels for me as well like this. I mean, I lived in Bromley for 3 years, kind of that's the only time I haven't lived in Worthing, and we spent most of our weekends, my husband just driving back on the weekends, always back to Worthing because we miss the sea. I don't think I can live away from it again. I feel it centres me. I know where the end of the town is.
Exactly.
But I think we're so lucky here because you look one way, you've got the beautiful downs, you've got the sea the other way, and then you're so connected to Brighton, to London, the opportunities there. I feel like for my children, they've got the best of both worlds because they can get up to the places if they need to travel. They've got we've got brilliant universities around us, and I think people are starting to realise actually, especially after COVID, I think people really value the outside space.
Very much
I do think that's one of the areas that we do feel like actually you've always got that free resource of being able to take yourself to the beach when you need to. You can go up to the downs, you can enjoy all the lovely spaces that we've got. But yet we're close enough to all those busier places when you want to. But I do feel we've got something really special here.
We have. And the other thing I think that I enjoy, especially as I'm getting older, is the fact that it is flat, and if you're in Brighton, you're going up and down this. And I do cycle. I arrived on my bike, as you saw, Mayor on the bike.
Which is great.
But it's something again that devolution may help with, because we are very keen to sort of manage our transport and encourage active travel, so people walking and using their bikes. So again, the strategic gift of a devolved authority means that we hopefully will have a much more joined up approach to making that happen in a place like where we are. Like, it's a gift, isn't it? We're flat.
Absolutely.
Why isn't everyone on bikes like Denmark? We actually had a question about that at full council, didn't we? But we could be, but we need to have that thinking and that strategic thinking in place.
Together, isn't it? National, local, actually having that incentive to be able to get everything moving.
And I think that goes back to what you were saying, Sophie, about having that balance from the kind of old way, if you like, to not just being women, but also a younger generation that's able to think a little bit differently and to bring in new ideas and new ways of thinking and and so that's what we look forward to.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. When I was at school, lots of people couldn't wait to leave work. Like it was a case of
Absolutely,
wanting to get out there
yeah.
to the big wide world. Whereas I think people feel very anchored here. It's almost like this is a home, isn't it? It's like we can
Yes.
go off and explore, but we know we can come home here, and that's what I hope that we build for my children growing up. Our beach is definitely our draw. I think it's one of the things that we're looking at as what is it that people come to Worthing? Why do people love about Worthing? And it always comes back to the heart of the coast. So I think really thinking about how we maximise the opportunity for people to get into the beach.
Yes.
And all our hospitality. I mean, we have the most amazing restaurants. We're never short of somewhere to eat or to go out and drink something.
Even in the last 10 years or 5 years since COVID, it's
really
yeah. I mean, when I first came to Worthing 20 years ago, I think there was one fine dining restaurant. The restaurants for now, you kind of have this plethora of different places and lovely venues that you can visit. And Warwick Street particularly is a great place for venues, and yes, it's lovely to see it developing in that way. That actually you don't need to travel outside of the town to find something a bit different and a bit special. Now it's on the doorstep, which is great.
And talking about the beaches, I'm really glad that we've got 2 further sort of bathing areas which are now being carefully monitored for water quality.
Yes.
So East Beach and Goring is have been added in addition to the is it him? I don't know which of the areas. Yeah. So that's good, and we want to work with. Well, I know Sophie probably should be answering this question already, but it's good to be working with the Environment Agency and Southern Water to try and make sure that we have a really good water quality, so that people can enjoy the water without being worried about.
Yeah, that's a big topic of conversation for people, isn't it?
Very interesting.
Because people do feel so connected to the coast. We all want to see to be able to swim in it.
And it has expanded. Like it used to be just if you wanted to go to the pier area.
That's
But
right.
now we've got East Beach and Goring, working with water sports, which are developing the prom, and that's something that I know the council is promoting, isn't it?
It's really
the offer
exploring.
on the prom on the beach is much broader and wider than it used to be. We've got saunas, haven't we?
Yeah, and that's it. It's just naturally occurring that people are finding these new sort of places, like you say, the on the beach saunas. You've got lots more of the water sports.
Paddleboarding, we didn't have that a few years ago.
Cold water swimmers.
Yeah.
I swim. I'm not in the cold water. I do use the beach regularly though. I'd advise anyone coming to Worthing to use the beach to study the tide time zone.
Indeed, yes. It's quite it's lovely that there's so many kind of spiritual people in Worthing as well. People who are really into health and well-being and who use the sea and the downs for those purposes as well. And we've got the gorgeous Lido as well.
We would absolutely love to see the Lido look better than it is today, I think, is the word to say. I mean, I think there's so many different sort of levers that we need to get moving with the Lido. We're working with our MP, Becky Cooper and Tom Rutland as well to have a look at, we know we need to bring in sort of national kind of big pots, £1 million of funding pots to get that one unlocked, but it's definitely our aspiration to see what we can do in the next couple of years to get that one unlocked, because it's something that we hear from the beginning of when we came in, isn't it? I think it's always been our aspiration to see something better than what there is at the moment. So yes, watch this space. We're hopeful that we can bring. I've had a couple of conversations with Historic England this week, and just getting the feelers to see where things are, what's been done before, why they weren't successful, and thinking about how we all work together on really unlocking it. So,
Ladies, can I say thank you so much for coming on to What the Heart? It's been wonderful to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Would you entertain visiting us again on What the Heart?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Lovely. Thank you so much, and we feel very safe that you're at the helm of our fantastic town.
Nobody works harder than Councillor Cox and Councillor Garner.
Well, you're doing a wonderful job in your mayoral year as well. So
You both are.
Yeah,
Great
let's work
team.
together.
thank you.
And thank you both.
Thank you.
Pleasure. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you both.
Lady Tabitha.
Pleasure, and thank you everyone, and we look forward to having everyone back. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.